What's up? I was thinking about numbers, and numbers are much greater than just mathematical calculations. Numbers are significant. Numbers can be and are, in a real sense, spiritual. Numbers serve as markers. They serve as milestones and reminders. We celebrate our birthdays annually. It's the number has a deeper significance beyond just getting older, but it reflects growth. It reflects evolution. It reflects transformation. Numbers are incredibly significant. There are uh, biblical numerology. There is um, astrology, which often gets misrepresented as something other than what it is, a scientific understanding of how the universe works and how it fits together. And for those of us who've walked religious paths are afraid of those kind of conversations. But numbers are significant. They are important to us. So there's religious numbers, biblical numerology, and other forms of numerology. Um, Birthdays. We think about numbers in terms of sports even. Athletes choose, athletes often choose their numbers with some level of significance. Gilbert Arenas, retired basketball player who played for my favorite professional team, the Washington Wizards, wore number 0 because coming out of college they swore he would see zero amount of time. And of course, if you follow sports, you would know that he became an incredible scorer, an all-star, and had a really solid career before some things transpired. Even Michael Jordan wore number 23 because his big brother in high school wore number 45. And because he looked up to his brother Larry, he rounded off the number, and 23 is as close as he could get without going over 45. Right? And so there are significance. Eric Berry wears number 29 because of Inky Johnson, who played for the University of Tennessee and was paralyzed, I believe, on the left or right side. And as a consequence, his career was cut short right as he was about to enter the NFL. Inky Johnson is now an incredible motivational speaker, but there are significance and spiritual meaning that are attached to numbers. And I'm thinking about Ruby Sales, that civil rights activist and leader, and now spiritual leader, who talks about black folk religion. And that phrase stuck with me because there are some things that were incredibly dear to our culture and our construct as people, as black people, as people whose skin has been kissed by nature's sun. Much of what we did was often done by default because of the conditions that we found ourselves in. But there were many practices that were adjusted from our African-centered selves that we brought with us, that we kept, that we tweaked, that we modified, that we adjusted in order to maintain a level of sanity and civility. And so there were just practices that were unique to our culture. There was black folk religion. There were just some practices and some teachings and some ideologies that were near and dear to our heart. And one of those things was family, the way in which we honored our elders, the way in which we remembered our ancestors, the way that we talked about the lessons that we had learned from them and the lessons that they taught, and how those teachings are still with us, and how we would often hear their voices as we're about to make a decision or as we're making an important decision. Their spirit, or we would be reminded of their spirit. And so as we thought about their transition to the ancestral realm, we recognized that the power of who they were still influenced how we operated in a deep, profound, and significant way. And I thought about that because this weekend we had an opportunity to travel down to the place of my birth, where I was born and raised, in the house that I was reared in. That phone number has not changed since 1964. Many of the neighbors are passing and transitioning on to the ancestral realm, and some family members have moved into those houses, and many of them are being sold and those kind of things. But there's still a remnant of those folks who are much older now who are still around. And one of those persons is my mother. My father passed 2008, 2009, after 40 plus years of marriage. But my mother turned 85. We're talking about numbers. She turned 85. She is the matriarch for her side of the family. And as we pulled in after that 8.5-hour drive, as we pulled up on that street in which I grew up on, those numbers on the door, 613, might not mean anything to you, but for me, 613 meant family. 613 meant playing in the backyard. 613 meant cutting grass. 613 meant playing kickball. 613 meant playing freeze tag. 613 meant playing football. 613 meant playing karate. 613 meant playing superheroes. 613 meant standing on the front porch with our Easter suits on and our chocolate bunnies. 613 meant sitting on the porch and getting our hair combed when I had hair. 613 meant sitting between my mother's legs and her pulling out our hair and then plaiting it. 613 was significant and is significant to who I am today. And to watch family members come from all over the city and from as far as Ohio to recognize her presence, to recognize the influence and the impact that 613 had. I was reminded of the power of Black folk religion and Black folk culture. I was reminded of the significance that numbers have when they are attached to human contributions that shape the narrative of our lives, when they shape the potential, the possibility of our lives. For me, it was and is 613. For my kids, it's 2040 and 65. Can I ask you a question? What numbers are significant to you and why? can I say to you now, as I head on out of here, man, pay attention to the numbers in your life. They may have more meaning than you are giving them credit for. Perhaps the narrative wasn't as positive as you would have liked, but maybe it has shaped you in a way that you will never forget, even if it was unhealthy, and it has served as a catalyst and an impetus and a launching pad for how you will reshape and even reimagine your future. Never forget the power and the significance of numbers. They have meaning. They are attached to our humanity. I love that number, 613. What's yours? I will be praying for you deeply that God will allow your mind to connect with numbers that have significance and meaning that will help shape how you enter into spaces going forward. That those numbers will be an impetus and a launching pad for your perspective, your growth, and your continued development. Search for your 613. Peace and blessings. This is Pastor Wesley A. Johnson, aka Pastor Wes, and this is another episode of Twisted Theology. Peace.